Hello everyone, I am here to do a different kind of video for my channel. It's one though I have been wanting to do for quite some time. I am going to be taking you through my entire CD collection. There's one row below this that you can't see. This has been a long time in the making. I have been collecting CDs a lot more prolifically, actually in the last couple of years. Not so much back when I was a kid when CDs were actually more popular. There are a bunch of CDs from my childhood and from my parents' collection. But as far as CDs that I started collecting more for myself, I've more retroactively been getting things on like eBay and thrift stores, really cheap, secondhand, when I can, or importing when I have to from expensive, European sellers for certain things that are a little bit more rare. But I have definitely been getting the material. I've been getting the collector bug with CDs. And obviously, since my channel is predominantly about music, I figured I would love to just do a 2022 big CD collection video. Now, this is going to be probably one of the longest videos I ever upload to YouTube. Some people like these long form content videos. You can break it up and watch them in multiple parts, whatever, to each their own. If it's too long for you, I'm sorry. But I am going to be going through every single CD that is in this house that I share with my parents currently. And so my parents' collection is mixed in with my collection because I love it when, we both my parents can find some music of mine. They listen to my music. I listen to their music. Some of this is stuff from when I was a kid that is really nostalgic to me. And so some of the music I'm going to be presenting to you today is not necessarily music that I listen to or I listen to anymore, where it's just sentimental from my childhood. But I figured in the interest of anyone who might be stumbling across this video, you might be a fan of a lot of different types of genres, not just the main sort of music that I cover on this channel. So I figured it would actually be more interesting to more people if I included stuff that, to the people who watch my channel specifically, they might find some of these in, my parents' collection a little random, but for people who might like different genres, it'd be nice to see them represented. You know what I mean? I always feel like when I see these collection videos online, I like seeing a more well-rounded, diverse collection of music, not just all hip hop or all country, or you know what I mean? This is going to be all over the place. So there is going to be a lot of pop music, a lot of female artists, me, that's how I do it. But I definitely have a unique taste, and so that will come through in this video. And I'm just really excited to talk about some of these records that I have never reviewed on my channel. But I do plan to review some of them. So in the future, this is sort of reminding me, I still want to talk about these older records. I haven't been doing a lot of older record reviews lately, but I would like to get back into that slowly. So it'll be interesting to sort of finally show off a little bit more of what do I enjoy listening to. And also, I just want to also preface this. Why do I collect CDs? Well, first of all, I think it's really nice to have physical media just in the day and age of streaming. I think that, streaming pays really badly for artists. We know the payout is terrible, especially with Spotify, but all of them are really bad. So it's somewhat of a political statement in a way that I want to support the artists that I really love, especially the independent ones, by buying their own CDs in their shops or their merch. And obviously buying tickets for their shows is also a great way to help support them. So a lot of it is that. The other side of it is I do believe that CD quality audio is superior. It's pretty much a fact that we know this, but I feel like some people don't really think they hear a difference when they're, especially now that Apple Music has started to get into lossless audio in their base pay tier. We're still seeing an elevation in quality when you have full lossless audio on a CD. So I prefer having my high-res audio on CD. Now, you might be wondering, Arthur, do you have any vinyl? Unfortunately, CDs are pretty cheap and vinyls are not. Vinyls are a lot more popular with collectors these days. They have definitely had a bit of a resurgence. But I unfortunately only own one vinyl. And I'm going to show it here. I have only one vinyl, and it is this album. It is The Green Children, who is a Nordic UK group. And they make electro-pop music that is kind of fantastical. I've talked about them on my channel. I'm a really huge fan. And I got this for free. I did not mean to intend to get this. This was a freebie that was thrown in when I bought one of their most recent albums online. And so here's a look at the inner sleeve. Now, I'll be honest, I really do wish I had a lot more vinyls because they look phenomenal. Um, the disc itself, oh, and it also has a nice little thank you and signature from Milla and Marlowe, the members of the band, which I think is awesome. And let me get this out. It's like really stuck. Here's the disc. It's, you know, just black, but always great to support independent artists. And it's nice to have. It's more for decoration, though, if anything else, because I do not own a record player. Maybe one day in the future, when my financial situation improves, I might splurge and get one. But from what I've read about vinyl, you know, vinyl is more nostalgia, if anything else, and it is sort of kind of, if you're into audio, it's almost not always better. You know, like there's things about vinyl that there's pros and cons, and that's a whole other video that I could be making. But people who are so into vinyl and they hate CDs, I'm like, y'all are just rich, okay? Like, just admit it, you're rich. You can afford vinyl, you can afford to have these huge collections, but, you know, in some ways, CDs are like easier and the same quality, if not better quality, for like 3 times less the price. So, you know, but I mean, again, it is nice to have the actual, you know, the 12 by 12, you know, album art. I think that that's the biggest plus of having vinyl. And it's something that I really wish I did have more of, but it is what it is. But I have this one. So shout out to the Green Children. Thank you so much for sending this to me. It was a really nice little surprise. So without more further ado, I am going to go through all of these. I'm going to show you up close so that you can see the front and the back and inside. I'm not going to open up every single CD, and I'll share a few things about them, especially if it's a CD, it's my own collection. Most of this is my own collection, about 60% of it, and about 40% are my mom and dad's collection. And there's a bit of overlap. Some of these are gifts I've given to my parents, but like, you know, they're still here and I still listen to them. So with that being said, I'm going to be going through in alphabetical order. So we're going to start with the A's by artist's first name, and then we'll go to the Z's, and then I'm going to go through all the compilation records. So compilation records will go by album title. So A, titled albums for compilations, all the way through Z. And then at the very end, at the very top here, we have all our Christmas collections. So these are all holiday and Christmas albums. I'll do those kind of at the end. So without further ado, let's get into this video. All right, starting us off at the beginning of the alphabet, we have ABBA, Arrival. This is their classic 1976 record. If you love ABBA, you gotta have it. This one's obviously well used. The only other ABBA CD I have is ABBA Gold. This is their 1992 greatest hits record. So it's good to have for just, you know, all of the songs that they're well known for. All right, next we have Adele. So got 3 Adele records here. We've got Adele's 21. We have 25. Case is falling apart a bit there. Some of these cases are well used. They don't stay together pretty well. And then the newest one, 30, which is in much better condition, which I think is actually way better than 25. But 21 is still the classic. Okay, so next up we have an artist who I have reviewed on this channel, but is very not mainstream. The Norwegian electronic artist Amethystium. So I have his 3 records here. The first one from 2001, Odonata, the classic. Opaque is like the next level. All of these songs really are. I've reviewed this one on my channel. I highly recommend checking it out if you're into new age esoteric electronica. Like, it's truly something else. His sophomore record Aphelion. This came out in 2003. Also, a transcendent, beautiful record. Favorite song on this one is Autumn Interlude. I've also reviewed this on my channel. And then I also have his 2004 record, Evermind. Again, these three records are like kind of a little trilogy. It's called the Dragonfly trilogy, and they are the most transcendent of his works. He does have two other main albums out that have come out since that I would love to get at some point. I just don't have them yet. Maybe one day. I have a pop classic, Ashley Tisdale's Headstrong. You know, all the High School Musical stars had to put out records, but hers was, I think, one of the most fantastic. My favorite on this one would have to be We'll Be Together, but Not Like That and Be Good to Me. I mean, there's so many bops on here. Classic sort of middle school nostalgia here. Aurora. Could not have my collection without Aurora, the Norwegian prodigy here. This is her debut, All My Demons Greeting Me as a Friend. It's just the standard edition, which I'm fine with having. You know. This is her sophomore record called Infections of a Different Kind of Human. So what it is I think it was only released in Japan. I got it online. It was her first step one project, Infections of a Different Kind, and then A Different Kind of Human, which was step two, which was released the next year. All of them put on one CD. And then they also added Exist for Love, which was actually a single for the next record, The Gods We Can Touch, which at the time had not been attached to an album. So it was a nice kind of way to get two of those records in one, because it was really hard to get Infections of a Different Kind on CD or vinyl. It was really hard to get. For some reason, it was very limited. So I was glad I got this. And then lastly, we have her newest record, which is The Gods We Can Touch. I knew I had to get this one. This just came out this year. It's my only record. You can't really see the back, like the text, which I think is a little, I don't know, graphic design fail there. But this is definitely the most recent album in my collection, like the one that actually came out this year is in 2022. Obviously, there'll be more to come as the year progresses, I'm sure. All right, and then finishing up the A's, we have my Avril Lavigne collection. I have the trio of Avril Lavigne records that everyone thinks are classic. So, of course, I have Let Go. You know, iconic, I'm With You, Complicated, Skater Boy, you know the drill. Then I got Under My Skin. Again, these two records are her seminal ones. Nobody's Home, How Does It Feel, My Happy Ending, He Wasn't. Iconic. Again, Falling Apart. What can you do? Most of these are the jewel cases, they don't stand the test of time very well. They're also not very environmentally friendly. Then we have The Best Damn Things. This is the only other album of Avril's I have. Most people consider these her three best. I could see myself getting more Avril at some point, but I'm not feeling that inclined to right now. I only really want to buy CDs of like albums that I really, really enjoyed, like most, if not all, the songs on. So again, this one has, you know, Innocence, and it has Keep Holding On, When You're Gone, The Best Damn Thing, Runaway, Girlfriend, like can't go wrong. Okay, so moving along to the B's, I had told you that there would be a lot of classical music in here, as my parents have collected lots over the years. So we have the Essential Bach, 36 of his greatest masterpieces, all you classical music fans. I mean, you know, I'm grateful that, again, like growing up, classical music was always playing. It was essential. Not something I would have for my collection normally, but The Beach Boys, another one of my parents, again, like classic, gotta have this 2 discs. It has all their hits, you know, God Only Knows, definitely one of their best songs. All the iconic ones. This is, I don't feel like my parents take very good care of their CDs. But it's okay. These start to wear and tear. They fall apart a little bit. All right. So this one is a Benedictine Monks of Santo Domingo de Silos record called Chant. I don't know if I've ever heard this, but again, it's from my parents' collection, which is now part of our giant collection. There you go. Want your Benedictine monk? You want some monk even songs? There you go. More people should be aware of Birdie. This is my favorite record of hers from 2016, Beautiful Lies. I love the album cover. I want this record to not like get super banged up. I mean, Unbroken is one of my favorite songs of all time. So many songs on here are just, I can't rave enough about. It's a beautiful CD, probably the most beautiful CD. Most artists don't really spend a lot of time putting effort into it, but this is definitely the most beautiful CD I've ever seen in a jewel case. So props to the design department for that, because it truly makes this like really special to have. And then I have her other record, Young Heart. This is her newest one, came out last year. Love this one. I mean, Beautiful Lies is such a special place in my heart that this one's hard to like usurp it, but still such a great record. More acoustic. All right. Okay, so now we get into my Bjrk collection. So first I have Post. I do not have Debut, you might notice, and that's on my list. One day I might get it, because I could definitely see myself having it, you know, if I want to, you know, at least have as many Bjrk albums as I would like to have. I think Debut would be good to have. Of course, I have Homogenic, arguably her strongest record, although it's still one more above that. That's my personal favorite. Which is Vespertine. I had to make this myself because it didn't come with like the wraparound case. It just had the booklet in it, and it was a little shoddily put together, but I didn't mind. Again, very beautiful CD art there. Very beautiful CD art. Even if the case is a little ratty. I mean, again, I try and get these secondhand, like really cheap. So I'm not about to dish out like tons of money for CDs. So we jump a little bit ahead in time here to Biophilia. Yes, I do not have Medulla or Volta. Again, if you know me with Bjrk, they're not like my favorite records of hers. So I could see myself maybe getting Medulla at some point, but I don't think I'm ever going to get Volta. But Biophilia is underrated, though I'll be honest with you, I go back and forth these days on whether I actually really like it that much. It's kind of hard to listen to now. It's like so out there. And I love Out There, but some of the songs I'm just like, I don't know. The CD's in there. I just, you know, don't have time to get them all out. And then I have Utopia, her most recent. So also do not have Volnicura. Again, not the biggest Volnicura fan. I like the first half, not so crazy about the second. You know this if you've watched my channel. But Utopia is definitely stronger in my opinion. So love the album art. Again, beautiful CD design. Absolutely incredible. All right, starting out with Britney Spears, we have Greatest Hits, My Prerogative. This is good to have just as a way to sort of like have all the greatest hits from Baby One More Time all the way to My Prerogative, which was released as part of this compilation. So from 1999 to 2004, because that's when this came out. I don't have any of her records from that era. I would love to get some at some point, just not, you know, not crazy about needing them right now. But I do have Blackout from 2007. This one's really faded. I don't know why. It's just how it came. This album is, as every gay will tell you, like a must-have. I think, the CD is pretty cool. Sounds really good in CD quality. All right. And then the other Britney CD I have is Femme Fatale, which is one that most people kind of forget exists, but I actually think it's a really strong record of hers, arguably just as good as Blackout. So I don't know why people are sleeping on it so much. This one's in really poor shape. I mean, I just got this really secondhand. But and filling out the Bs, we have the Boston Pops Adagios. So this is a bunch of classical songs that you might recognize, like Claire de Lune and Summertime from George Gershwin, Morning by Grieg, The Swan, Camille Saint-Saëns. I mean, I recognize this as when my parents played a lot of this in the car when I was a kid. So this is one of the classical music CDs I do have a lot of fond memories of. So it's a good addition to the collection. All right. The Cambridge Singers, the City of London Sinfonia. I have this under Cambridge Singers. Stillness and Sweet Harmonies. This is one of the church cathedral music albums that my dad probably bought at some point when I was young. I mean, it is beautiful. It is beautiful. It all starts to sound the same sometimes, but it's truly transcendent. Moving on to the Cs, we have Cascada, Every Time We Touch. I was really glad I finally got this one. Every Time We Touch and Miracle are Eurodance heaven. Like, they're the pinnacle of Eurodance, Eurodisco, trance, whatever you want to call it. Had to get it. And then I have the follow-up, Perfect Day, another classic Cascada record. Dream on Dreamer is absolutely divine. Highly recommend if you are into just really, really good dance music. All right. Celine Dion. Why, of course. I don't have as much Celine as I should, but I do have Falling Into You from 1996. This one is, I think arguably Celine's best record just overall. I think it has the most of my favorite songs of hers. If That's What It Takes, Oh By Myself, which I was disappointed to find out was not even made popular by her. It was made popular by another singer decades before, but it is what it is. She doesn't write her own music. I always knew that. Because You Loved Me and It's All Coming Back. I got this for my mom as a birthday present. She loves it. It's a little faded, but oh well. And then I have her 1999 Greatest Hits, All the Way, A Decade of Song. So this has everything from Where Does My Heart Beat Now from Unison in 1990 all the way to That's the Way It Is, which was released with this record, along with a Frank Sinatra collab. This was one of those CDs I mentioned that I only got the CD of. I didn't get any of the casing or anything, so I put the case together myself. I just took a case from an old thing, printed that out, printed out the cover. So that's why it looks like this. It's a little ratty, but I do it. There's only like 7 or so CDs that I got just like this, the disc only. But I want them in cases. I'm a little OCD about that. So I have to have a Cher record. I got her 1999 Greatest Hits record, If I Could Turn Back Time. Interestingly, this record came out after her Believe album in 98. But for whatever reason, the record label decided not to include any Believe songs on it. The most recent song on this one is a song called Love and Understanding, which is from 1991, her album Love Hurts. So it only goes up to 91. I don't know why they don't include later 90s stuff in this collection. Kind of a shame. I kind of thought they would be when I bought it, but it has all her 80s and all of her 70s hits. If I Could Turn Back Time, Gypsies, Tramps, and Thieves, Heart of Stone. All right. So this one is definitely in the worst shape of all the CDs that we have. This is my parents' The Best of Chicago, 40th anniversary edition. This is completely falling apart. I wouldn't be surprised if a disc is missing because it's a 2-disc set. Okay, they're both there, but yeah, my parents don't necessarily take the greatest. It's hard, things fall apart if you're just like in a hurry and you're opening these things up. But oh well. It's more that the disc plays. That's the important thing. We've got to have some Chopin for classical piano lovers out there. Piano sonatas and nocturnes. This has, all of some of his most beautiful ballads. Christopher Tin, Calling All Dawns, a song cycle. I have not listened to this. My dad got this. My parents are really into choral, a cappella, veering into New Age territory, which I'm always about. And then this is another Christopher Tin album called Shiver the Sky. It's upside down. I don't know how this one is meant to be that way, but yeah. This one's really odd. You won't see this in most CD collections. The Grudge 2 soundtrack by Christopher Young. This is from the 2006 American Grudge remake. The sequel. Why not the original? Well, because the sequel actually has the better soundtrack. Christopher Young did it for both films, but I have always loved the second film soundtrack, even though the second film isn't as good as the first. So that's kind of the ironic thing. I think the first film is stronger. I have the first film on DVD. I do not have the second, but I have the second soundtrack, not the first. I just find that kind of interesting. But you might be like, why would a horror film like this have good soundtrack? Just listen to it. For a long time, this has not been streaming. It used to be on iTunes. I don't know why, but if you can find this on streaming, these songs are they're Japanese titles. This is otherworldly terror music, but it's not all scary. A lot of it's just very sad, obviously, very Japanese instrumental in stuff here. It's very well composed. I mean, honestly, super blown away. Oop, the CD is falling out here. It's not something I got really into horror film soundtracks for a while. The Ring soundtrack has a really beautiful cinematic orchestral feel to it, which I would also love to have at some point. But I'm being honest with you. There is something so transcendent about this work. But it's not for everyone. It's definitely not for if you're driving in the car. Some of it. But there's just really interesting sonic soundscapes on this one, and it really takes you on a journey. So, highly recommend. Cinematic Pop. I have no idea what this is, but it's in my parents' collection. The London Symphony Orchestra and the Symphony Pop Choir. So they're covering popular songs. A lot of, these cover kind of things. I find them really cheesy, to be honest, but it is what it is. Okay. Coldplay, X and Y. Probably Coldplay's strongest overall record, in my opinion. I know everyone thinks that it's a rush of blood to the head or people love Viva La Vida. I am an X and Y stan. There's one other Coldplay album that I own, but I felt like this was the earlier one that I had to have. Not crazy about the album art or anything, but this album, obviously it has Fix You, which everyone loves. But White Shadows, Talk, Speed of Sound, A Message, Twisted Logic. There's just some beautiful songs on here. Beautiful songs. Flows really well. Just a really great record. A great blend of sort of their more melancholic stuff with more of their edgy rock stuff. Because, some people think that they sell out by this record. I would argue that's way down the line. This is still prime Coldplay. And then the other Coldplay record I have is Everyday Life from 2019. I'm going to defend this record as much as I can. I don't understand the slander some people have against it. I think it is their strongest record this entire decade. Ghost Stories, yes, was pretty good as well, but this one's longer and just a little bit more of a full package. And a really interesting album cover. This is the only album I have that's like actually kind of like a book. And of course, it is divided into two parts. But I mean, it's pretty cool how it's designed like this. I wish I had more records that kind of had this kind of flow and stuff to it. So, yeah, big fan. Couldn't recommend it enough. It's so much better than Music of the Spheres, which just came out last year. So much better. Ferrari in Concert by A Company of Voices. Don't know anything about this. Again, it's one part of my parents' collection. Crosby, Stills, and Nash. I'm so glad my parents had this because it's just, I mean, I love the Joni Mitchell album art. This is their compilation record that came out in 1973, I think. And it just has their last like 4 years worth of big hits. Obviously, Our House, everyone knows. Love Guinevere, love Helplessly Hoping. A classic. And then finishing up the C's, this artist you probably have definitely not heard of. This is actually my aunt, or one of my aunts. Her name is Cynthia Young. She is actually a classical singer. So she put out a CD in 2004. This is obviously not a commercial release. You couldn't buy this anywhere. This was just made for friends and family through her church. And it has covers of tons of, songs that are recognizable from different musicals. All Through the Night, Good Night, My Someone from The Music Man, songs from My Fair Lady. It has Danny Boy, O Mio Bambino Caro, Amazing Grace. I mean, this has been on repeat ever since it came out as a child. Like, this is something that, is truly special to us and our family. And it's just really cool that it was made. And I would love it if she recorded another one at some point. But yeah, Cynthia Young, she is a really talented soloist, a really talented soprano, and actress. She's been on a lot of musicals locally in their different various locations they've lived throughout the years. So this is a really special memento. This is a really special family memento. Moving on to the D's, we have Dan Fogelberg. This is from my mom's collection or my dad's, not sure. I've never listened to this. I know he's a famous 80s singer. Of course, it's falling apart. I mean, these are like decades old. Dave Keller, Soul Changes. I have never listened to this. This was sent to me when I buy a lot of my CDs on eBay, and sometimes sellers will throw in freebies. So I actually never opened it. That's why it's one of the only things I have is still in packaging. So any Dave Keller stands out there, let me know. This is worth listening to because, I think it's like kind of like classic rock. I don't know. 2013. Never listened to it. Don't know who it is. Didn't ask for it. But hey, it's in our collection. Demi Lovato. I was debating on which Demi album to have in my collection. I really would love to get her most recent one, Dancing with the Devil, but I ultimately chose to get this one. I might get more Demi in the future. Unbroken from 2011 is just kind of nostalgic for me. Obviously, Skyscraper is one of her strongest songs. Give Your Heart a Break. My Love is Like a Star. It's got some, dead weight at the beginning. It's a mixture. It's a mixed bag here for her, but that's what you get from a lot of these Disney X-Act pop albums. So I don't know. It's not really an album I would normally think I have to have on CD, but I ended up buying it for pretty cheap. So I have it. Dire Straits Live Alchemy, a 2-disc set. All Are any Dire Straits fans out there? This is obviously not for me, but this is my parents' collection. Moving on to the E's. Ellie Goulding, Halcyon. Classic Ellie. Really strong record. This is the deluxe edition. My Blood is definitely the best song on this one. Explosions, Atlantis, Halcyon, the title track. Knew I had to get this one. Elton John, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. What collection would be complete without it? Obviously, this was my parents to pick, but I'm so glad we have it. This is actually the 2014 edition, so it comes with a live album from 2014, as well as the original 1973 record. And it has some artists like Ed Sheeran and Emily Sande. It has them covering some of his iconic hits, which I think is really interesting. So cool to have. Emily Sande. Please stop sleeping on Emily Sande. This is her debut record, our version of Events from 10 years ago. Again, this is one of the CDs I only got the CD for, the disc. And this is the UK edition. There were 2 editions that were released. This one has Read All About It, which is a great song from the UK edition. But yeah, the disc was the only thing I actually received, and then I put the jewel case together myself, printed out stuff. Makes it look pretty normal. Love her. Great soulful pop singer. Emily Autumn. Again, not very well known, but this is her debut record, Enchant, from 2003. I've reviewed this album on my channel, and this is like fairy violin music. I don't know how else better to describe it. It's kind of this medieval feel to it. You can tell by the album art. But it's a wonderful project, and it's just wonderful to have. I'm definitely, splurging a little bit because this is not easy to find. Usually you have to import it from Europe. There aren't very many copies of this CD. So this was one of those that I had to pay a little bit more for. But it's worth it. All right, we get into my Enigma collection. I cannot wait to finally review some more Enigma on my channel. I don't know why I've been dragging my feet with it. This is his 1996 record, Le Roi est mort, vive le Roi. Yes, kind of a strange title. It's in French. But this record, I've only recently fully given its dues. This record is absolutely next level. I have no words. I have no words about this record. I have so many questions, but it's just the most, I know I'm using the word transcendent a lot, but I think it best applies here. This is definitely a stellar music. Really ethereal, very great ambient sort of techno journey. I don't know how else to describe it. With his vocals are on this one still. The female narrators in this one as well. This one and one other one are my favorite Enigma records. The other one being from 2000. This is The Screen Behind the Mirror. This one is arguably, I think, his most arcane and probably very slept on. It has Push the Limits, which is just, oh my God, I can't get enough of that one. Obviously, Gravity of Love as well. Between Mind and Heart, Traces, Light and Weight. There are so many. I mean, this is a religious experience, this record. Very, as the title alludes, enigmatic. There's just so much about this that you can't explain with words. That's all I can say. Music of the Spheres for sure. But one day I'm going to review both of these albums on my channel because they deserve a proper review. Now, it's interesting. His 2008 album, Seven Lives, Many Faces, I didn't intend to necessarily get this record. This was on accident. When I ordered Le Roi est mort, they actually sent me the wrong disc in the proper casing. They sent me his 2008 album, Seven Lives, Many Faces. So I got a refund and I ordered the proper one, but I got to keep this one. So I decided to put it in a case. But, this was never my favorite record of his. There's a couple songs I love on it, like The Same Parents. But it's more forgettable for me. It was never an Enigma album I was necessarily I need to have this, but I do. Just the disc of it, put it in the proper case and everything. And then I have his most recent, which I have reviewed on my channel. This is the only Enigma album I've reviewed. This is from 2016, The Fall of a Rebel Angel. I'll never forget, this album came out literally the day after Trump got elected, so it has a little bit of a added weight to it, considering this album is about falling from the Garden of Eden. So it's a little symbolic there for me. Yeah, this album is definitely a trip. There's definitely some Satanist vibes in there, but if you look at his music, there's always a little bit of that, which I always think is kind of fun. It's once very pious and Christian, and then all of a sudden very not. But it is always transcendent, very erotic, very, everything you want from an Enigma record. Definitely one of his best. Definitely one of his best. One of our soundtracks here, I think, The Mission from 1996, Jeremy Irons and Robert De Niro. Not many people think of this movie when they think of great Ennio Morricone soundtracks. Everyone thinks of his westerns. The late Ennio Morricone, one of the great Italian movie composers. They think of Cinema Paradiso and things like that. But Ennio Morricone's soundtrack to The Mission is very nostalgic for me. As a child on cassette tape, we owned this and played it. We obviously did not play some of the songs because they were a little more jarring for the car. They were not really meant for melodic listening. But the ones that were, Gabriel's Oboe and the opener, the Latin chanting by the Guarani tribes, these songs were, like, when I was growing up, like, the best thing I ever heard in the car. Like, I was absolutely obsessed with them. I called them the Be-A-Bop songs because it sounded like that's what they were chanting as a child, or the Take Your Socks Off, which is not what they were actually saying. They were chanting in Latin, but it sounded, I had no idea what they were saying at that age. But I was always like, Mom, can you play this in the car? So eventually I was like, I have to get this on CD, since I don't know what happened. My parents, I think, got rid of all our cassette tapes, which I think is kind of a shame. All right. Enya. What can I say? Now, you might be thinking, Arthur, where's Watermark? I don't have Watermark, but you'll find out why in a bit. But the first in chronological order that I have is Shepherd Moons, Caribbean Blue, the title track, Book of Days. Need I say any more? You've seen my channel, you know that I am the #1 Enya stan. Have to have as much Enya as I can get. The Memory of Trees, my favorite Enya album. China Roses, the title track, Ather Arniem, On My Way Home. Again, need I say any more? Love the album art. Okay, and so the reason why I don't have Watermark is because I have her 1998 Box of Dreams collection. Now, here's the thing with this. Now, I don't have the cover for this. I don't know where it is. My parents recently took this, so I don't know where they put the cover. It's okay. You might be wondering, why is this in Mandarin over here? I imported this. I bought this from Taiwan. This was sold exclusively there, so it has Chinese characters on it. But all the covers underneath have the actual CDs. So when Enya released her greatest hits album, The Paint the Sky with Stars, which I was a big fan of as a kid because my parents played it a lot when I was a kid, she also put out a month later, in December of 97, a expanded greatest hits edition, which basically had every single song she had released on her past 3 to 4 albums before then. There are a few missing, like How Can I Keep From Singing and Once You Had Gold. But otherwise, pretty much everything's here. Plus, obviously, we have Paint the Sky with Stars, which was on that greatest hits collection, and Only If, which is on Oceans. So they're all kind of divided up by theme. So Oceans is, these don't really stick very well. Oceans is all of her upbeat, up-tempo tracks. So Orinoco Flow, to Boadicea, Cursum Perficio, The Celts, Anywhere Is, Ebu Day. Clouds are all her instrumentals. So Watermark, Miss Claire Remembers, Shepherd Moons. You get the gist. You get the gist there. And then Stars, which is arguably her most sleepy one, is all the ballads. I don't really think it's a good idea to necessarily listen to 16 ballads of Enya in a row. I do not recommend it while driving. It is definitely an anesthetic. Because I love Enya's ballads, but they do start to get repetitive. And when you put all of them together, it's just a bit much. The same thing could go for instrumentals. The best is to listen to them in like a, mixed order, I think, because then you just get like, a nice kind of a variety. So in some ways, I bought these more so that I could just have all of the B-sides and Celts and Watermark tracks without having to buy those individual albums. I do have a Memory of Trees and Shepherd Moon, so I do have duplicates, obviously, of some of them, but these have a lot of bonus tracks that weren't on any of those records. And in my playlist, when I burn them on my computer, I put them in their proper album orders for some of them, like Watermark and the Celts, which I don't have either. This doesn't have everything from the Celts, but it has about half of the Celts record. And so, yeah, I don't necessarily recommend listening to them in the orders they're presented here, but obviously this one's the strongest if you were to do it that way. But this is more just to have the physical copies of them, and for the collection, it's just very important. So, yeah. Here's the back of the Mandarin cases. Again, don't know where this one was. Okay, moving on, we have A Day Without Rain, 2000. This was another one I only have the disc of, so I put this disc together myself. Got this in the mail, put the rest together. Very popular Enya record, but not my favorite. 2005's Amarantine. Has the beautiful Japanese ballad Sumerigusa. It's in the Rain, one of my favorite up-tempo ones. A great record, much stronger than A Day Without Rain. And then I have her most recent, Dark Sky Island. You might be wondering, where is And Winter Came? That is going to be in my Christmas section, so that'll be at the end of this video. Dark Sky Island, 2015. This is the bonus deluxe edition. There you go. Obviously got this for my mom. Most of these Enya CDs I got from my mom. She's a big Enya fan as well. All right, moving on, we have Evanescence Fallen. Knew I had to have this one. Iconic early 2000s metal music. And it's the only metal CD I have besides, of course, the follow-up from 2006, which I actually prefer. I definitely love the album art more too. The Open Door. This is my favorite Evanescence record. Lithium, Good Enough, Like You, as well as, of course, the singles like Sweet Surrender and Call Me When You're Sober. This has it all. This has it all. And then finishing up the E's, we have the British band Everything But the Girl. I've not talked about them at all on my channel. This is very nostalgic to my childhood. This 1994 record, Amplified Heart, was playing all the time in the car when I was a kid. My parents. This is another one I just received the disc of, so I put the disc together myself, printed that out. This has Missing, which is everyone's heard. You probably heard it in a supermarket. So they're popular. They're not popular anymore, unfortunately. They're not really making music anymore, but a really wonderful band that put out tons of albums in the 80s and 90s. This is the one I have of theirs. All right, so this is this was put together by my church when I was a kid. It's just a bunch of choir anthems. I believe my mother is singing in this one. It's just, yeah, it's a bunch of hymns. And it was recorded in November of 2001. So yeah, my parents have gotten a few of these. There's another Christmas one that I'll show later on in the Christmas section that I'm more familiar with. Florence and the Machine, Lungs. I mean, this is her debut record, had to get it. Ceremonials, an even stronger record. This is just the standard edition, which kind of a shame, but at the end of the day, I'm happy to just get the standard, even if I don't have the deluxe. And then we have How Big, How Blue, How Beautiful, which has some paint stains on it. I gave this to my mom several years ago, and it's gotten well loved. Let me see if I can get this out. This comes with like this really, really cool booklet. I mean, it's got so much photography in it. I mean, it's really quite something. It would take forever for me to take it apart, but and we've got the CD in here, and this is the deluxe edition. So there we go. I do not have highest hope. I'm not sure if I'm going to get it. It's obviously not like my favorite Florence record. At some point I might get it, but obviously we have a new album coming out when this video comes out. It should be like a couple weeks from then. We have Dance Fever, which I will definitely probably getting. So this one's a little unique. This is the original Flying Pickets, Volume 1. They're a British a cappella group. They do covers of tons of popular songs like When Doves Cry by Prince and Only You by Yazoo. You know, like songs that are very popular from the 60s and 70s and 80s. This is just very nostalgic for when I was a kid. My parents would play this all the time in the car. It was just it's a fun little greatest hits kind of thing. And then this one is this one is another album I really would like to review at some point on my channel. It's by the electronic group Future Sound of London. They're a British group. They don't really make music together anymore, these two producers. But this album, Lifeforms, came out in 1994, and it's my favorite record of theirs, and the only one I felt seeing fit to own. I like Disc 1 a lot more than Disc 2. Disc 1 is pretty much flawless. Disc 2 gets a little bit too experimental for me. I mean, this is definitely not for everyone. It is extremely ambient. It's very hippie, psychedelic. Some people might say you need to be on drugs to appreciate it, but it's honestly something else. Again, it's hard to put into words, but at some point I would love to review it. But it's definitely a trippy record. There's something very spiritual about it and compelling. The music videos and everything, the whole imagery behind it. My favorite track on it is probably Cascade, but Ill Flower as well. Like the first two tracks are just like ambient electronic, like bliss, like super emotional, super amazing. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. We have the English Patient soundtrack. I still have not actually seen this movie, which is actually quite criminal. My parents got this soundtrack way back. Gabriel Yared. So I'm sure I've heard it at some point, but I do need to check out this film, and I'm sure I'll appreciate the music more. Gabriel Yared is a wonderful composer. So now I have my Gary Stadler collection. So I have reviewed this album of Gary's. This is his first album. This is instrumental new age music. It's definitely a little on the cheesy side sometimes, but Gary Stadler has made just phenomenal, really transportative, Celtic kind of instrumental music. There's like guitar in there. There's a lot of synth keyboard, chimes, like all sorts of instruments that really like lend to this fairy aesthetic. And it's just super escapist. This is more simplistic. This was when he was kind of just experimenting in 1996, his first debut record, but I have reviewed it on my channel. And I do want to review his other records, which I actually do have all of them. So I will kind of display them all here together. This is Fairy Night Songs. This is his second album from 1998. This is his collaboration with the late Sing Carr. Her name was really Laura Drew. It's quite sad. She actually passed away not long after this album was released that year. So it's extra bittersweet that we have this. Her vocals are absolutely stellar, super emotional. This album is just like super special and sacred to me. This is the kind of music I would love. It's got like lullabies that are perfect for children, but also for adults. Like it feels like it's just tugging all the right places, but it's super emotional. Like, especially knowing that she passed away from cancer not long after this was recorded. It's just, I don't know. There's something about it. Music like this just doesn't come out that often anymore. We have Fairy Heart Magic. This is the third one. This came out in 2000. This time he collaborated with a woman named Stephanie. I don't know much about her, but she has a slightly more very distinct sound and vocal, and they're both very beautiful. I can't decide which one I prefer. But in this one, she does this thing where she sings like a language that she supposedly made up in her dreams. I don't know if I really buy that, but it's super out there in that regard. Sounds a little Celtic. Everything has this Celtic, kind of influence. Super beautiful artwork too that's been designed here. It's like a fairy book come to life, a fairy story come to life. It's just like, it's very much what I'm about. Reflections of the Fairy. This is just Gary, mostly on the piano with some guitar. This is 2003. So it's a simpler record. It's very kind of plaintive, but it's super, calming and relaxing. It's just got some great melancholic instrumentals. I can't recommend them enough. At some point, I'm going to probably review all of these records. The fifth and final Gary Stadler record that's not a compilation is from 2004. It's called Deep Within a Fairy Forest. This time, he collaborated with Wendy Rule, who I am more familiar with. She's an Australian New Age artist who's put out quite a few records, and she's still putting out music today. Unlike Gary Stadler, who seems to have gone into retirement, he put out a greatest hits album in 2006 and then hasn't put anything out since, which I think is really unfortunate. But this one is really out of this world. It's much more refined. The production, there's great, use of wind and string instruments. Wendy Rule's vocals are so witch-like and haunting. It's probably the most enchanting of some of these. Fairy Night Songs is pretty enchanting as well. But I'm all about, the aesthetic of going deep into a fairy forest. So you see where this is kind of right up my alley. So yeah, all in all, highly recommend checking out these works from Gary Stadler. Just absolutely worth it. I don't care if people think it's cheesy. We got some George Gershwin for those classical music nerds again. Forever Gold. So a greatest hits, so to speak. Rhapsody in Blue. Very, very iconic. George Winston, Linus and Lucy, the music of Vince Guaraldi. I'm not sure if I've really listened to this. I'm sure my parents played it for me when I was a kid. But I'm not as big a fan of the jazzy George Winston stuff. I'm more a fan of his softer new age kind of stuff. So this isn't really my favorite of his, but my parents, big George Winston fans. As you will see, we have another George Winston record. This is from 1994. It's called Forest. Much more into this one. Definitely a big fan. There's also some wintry Christmas tunes on here, like Walking in the Air. Of course, this is all piano. He is one of the best new age pianists out there. Similar to Yanni. And then this was released, Remembrance. This was for 9/11, released after 9/11, a Remembrance memorial benefit. It's just a few songs that my parents also have. And then one of his more recent records, Carousel, Spring Carousel, I'm sorry. And this was done for Cancer Research Benefit. Great tracks on here. Really great sort of rondos, that kind of just kind of cyclical music, with piano. He really captures the essence of circular kind of movements in music. I don't know how better to describe that, but really great dinner music. So you'll recognize this because I showed you I have the vinyl. This is the Green Children Encounter. I have this, of course, regular CD, and then they sent me the vinyl with it as well, which I didn't ask for. But, I'm not going to complain. Get the CD out of there. I've reviewed this on my channel. What else can I say? Really fun Scandi electropop, because she's Norwegian, and it's really ethereal. but it's bubblegum still at the same time. Like, it's accessible. And then this is their follow-up, come from 2013, called Connection. Really love Feel the Light. Really love Unwanted Garden, Norwegian Dream, which she actually sings in Norwegian. And I actually have their signatures because I ordered this one from their website. Let's see if I can show you the CD there. Okay. Now, there's a Green Children record that is under a different acronym, a different name that will come up later in the alphabetical list because they changed their name from the Green Children to TGC, and that goes under the T's. So you'll see that coming up. Grimes, Our Angels, had to get this. This is her 4th studio album, but it's her most pop and arguably her most accessible. But, it's a wild ride. It's just tons of fun. It's wacky. It's everything you love about Grimes. Cool album art. And then we have the Guys All-Star Shoe Band, Shake It, Break It, and Hang It on the Wall. Again, something from my parents' collection. Garrison Keillor, Prairie Home Companion. This is kind of just like jazzy Americana. It's not my kind of thing, honestly. Hannah Montana. Fun fact, this is one of the first CDs that I actually ever received as a gift for myself from my parents when I was 13 years old. It's kind of embarrassing. It's one of my first CDs. But I was really into Hannah Montana, and Hannah Montana was kind of what got me into pop music. Like, let's be real. And I was a bit of a late bloomer because I was only listening to like soundtracks and stuff. So when I say this was one of my first CDs, I mean this is one of my first pop CDs, not soundtrack. I should clarify. The Gladiator soundtrack. My dad made a smart choice by buying this. Hans Zimmer, Lisa Gerrard. At the time as a kid, I was like not as into it as I think I am now. It's just so epic. Everyone knows Now We Are Free. And it's just such a fun. I need to watch the movie again. It's been a long time. I love a good soundtrack. They don't make soundtracks like these anymore. Speaking of great soundtracks, Harry Gregson Williams, The Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. So, before I was listening to like pop music, this was like my stuff. Which this also introduced me to Imogen Heap because Can't Take It In, song she wrote for the film, Wonderkind by Alanis Morissette. Absolutely in love. This has gotten so just fallen apart, but yeah. I mean, the first film is definitely the best. The others, the films in the series were not as good. But this is one of my all-time favorite fantasy movies from my childhood. But speaking of ultimate fantasy, Howard Shore's The Lord of the Rings. We've got The Fellowship of the Ring. This is just obviously the standard soundtrack. Then we've got Two Towers. I mean, I've made a video a while ago talking about my favorite soundtracks. And Lord of the Rings is my favorite film and soundtrack series of all time. So we've got Return of the King. Howard Shore did his thing. Like, do I need to say anything more? Do I really need to? But the interesting thing is I also have the complete recordings of The Fellowship of the Ring. Now, I really wish I could get this physical copy for the other two films, but I remember when I ordered this like 10 years ago, this was like $80. It's not cheap. So it comes with 3 discs of the recordings, and then it comes with a bonus DVD. Which shows you like, I don't know, I guess it has lyrics and stuff. But yeah, so we've got all the discs here. Disc 1. I mean, this is the entire score of the films in the order that it's presented in the movies. So obviously it's way longer than, what you get on the edited and sort of rearranged, studio soundtrack. And Fellowship has probably my favorite soundtrack. I love all of them. I would prefer to get Return of the King as well. Two Towers might be my least favorite, but that doesn't mean I don't love it. And it also comes with this really nice book. If I can get it out of here. It's kind of hard to get out. Which talks about all of the musical inspirations and process that Howard Shore went through in creating the music for the first film. So it's really interesting, and it's just great to have something like this to celebrate just like what a momentous triumph of a musical score that was The Lord of the Rings. But yeah, it's a shame I have the digital iTunes version of the complete recordings for Return of the King, but that was the digital copy, so it doesn't have the physical. It's just too expensive. Now these are hard to get to now. They're like $100 now, you know, or like at a minimum. Like they're really expensive. They're not easy to get for cheap. So, you know, but Lord of the Rings, all-time favorite. Okay. Imogen Heap, Speak for Yourself. This is a different album cover. I don't know why it comes with this different album cover than the one we're used to seeing, but this is her debut solo record, so it has Hide and Seek, her classic song. That's the album art we're all used to seeing. My mom's a big fan of Imogen Heap, so I'm glad I got these because she likes to enjoy listening to them as well. We have Ellipse, which I actually even like even more. I like this one even more. Canvas is my favorite song on it. And it's, again, Falling Apart, well-loved. And then we have Sparks, her latest album, even though this one came out 8 years ago. This one is actually a 2-disc thing. The second disc is just instrumentals, so I labeled it as such. And there's a little booklet in there. But great record. I really am looking forward to Imogen putting out more music. She's put out a few singles, but I don't know when we're going to get like another full-length album from her. I know she's a mom, and it's you know, she's got all these other ideas. Yona Lee, Everyone Afraid to Be Forgotten. So this is the only IAM/Yona Lee project I have physical media for. And let me tell you, this was not cheap. I believe that this might be the most expensive CD I've ever bought. This was kind of ridiculous. Well, obviously, besides the Lord of the Rings, Return of Fellowship of the Ring 3, that was like worth it because it was like 3 discs. But this one is just a regular CD, but it's my favorite of hers, and I really felt like it was important to have. It does come with not only the, it's upside down, not only the album, but it also comes with the DVD for the film. So, you know, it's a little more worth the money then. I was hoping it came with like an album booklet or something, but I guess they didn't make them. I don't know. But yeah, I actually ordered Am I, Who Am I's Bounty album by a seller on Discogs, and I never received it, and I never got a refund for it. It wasn't too much money. I tried to do something about it, and it's just like, at this point, it's been years now. It's a shame. That happens sometimes. So I would have gotten Bounty. I did order it, and I did pay for it, but I never got it. But it luckily was nowhere near as expensive as this one. But unfortunately, all of hers are very low supply. There's very limited editions of all of her work, so it's hard to get physical copies. So I don't know how many physicals I'm going to get. Her new album coming out this year, maybe we'll try and see. I'll see how expensive it is right up front, because I've never purchased anything right away from her. Moving on to the Jays, Jackie Evancho, Awakening. She was 14 years old at the time when this came out. She is a absolutely gifted opera and classical music singer. She also has veered into pop territory, but this is one of her best. It's a ton of, classic songs, Phantom of the Opera, Ave Maria. This has also some Christmas songs as well on a separate disc, which was a nice little surprise. But I was always a big fan of her ever since she won America's Got Talent. Well, she didn't win. She came in second place, but when she was 10 years old, blew everyone away with her vocals. Some James Horner. We have the Legends of the Fall soundtrack. Grew up on this. My mom playing this all the time. One of the best, the Ludlows is one of the best movie score movements of all time. The rest of the soundtrack's like kind of eh. The Wedding is probably the other song I really love. Obviously the title track as well. And actually, I don't really think the movie is I don't know. It's one of those movies I only need to see once. I don't really feel like I need to see it again. But, you know, Brad Pitt is delicious in it, of course. But yeah, classic 90s movie, beautiful soundtrack. And then we have a more recent James Horner, The New World. I actually have not seen this movie since middle school, and that was when this would have come out because my mom, I remember my parents bought this then. This has a song called Listen to the Wind by Haley Westenra, which I always loved. And the opening track is gorgeous as well. It's the story of Pocahontas, but obviously, instead of the Disney adaptation, it is a lot more historically accurate. So definitely due for a rewatch on this one because it's got beautiful music as well as cinematography. I think it was pretty critically well reviewed. We have another James in the soundtrack category here. James Newton Howard's The Village. Another seminal soundtrack. M. Night Shyamalan's 2014 film, this time with Hilary Hahn, who was a young violinist who was on most of the tracks. Her violin score is like absolutely divine. I'm not really crazy about the track listing order of this album. There's like a better version of this where it's like all in the right order because it ends on sort of like a weird note. The story, it's not chronological is what I'm trying to say, but it is what it is. Though the funny thing is somehow we lost the original CD sometime when I was a kid. Or years in the years since I've been a kid. So my dad had burned a copy. So we have the copy of it. We don't have the original. But at least we have the case to show we have a record. There's a couple soundtracks that we only have the case for that we lost the CD for. But in this case, we actually had a copy. So. And then wrapping out the Jameses, we have James Taylor. This was his second greatest hits album. I'm really glad my, parents had this laying around because, it was about time I got familiar with his music. My favorite James Taylor song on here is definitely This Is Her Town. Her Town 2, that's what it's called, which is one of his most famous songs. This is a little different. Jay Unger and Molly Mason, The Lover's Waltz. I have no idea who these people are, but when I play this CD, I hadn't listened to this in so long. It was instantly nostalgic to me as being a child because we played this in the car on so many road trips. It's just violin music. It's really a lot of, classical waltz kind of stuff. There is a Legends of the Fall cover in here, so that's another reason why that melody is very familiar to me from a childhood. And there are, Molly Mason does vocals, some singing on this one as well. It's just really schmaltzy. It's really cute. It's got some up-tempo stuff. It's folksy. Perfect for, long drives, long road trips. All right. Jesse McCartney, Right Where You Want Me. Some more middle school nostalgia. Had to get it. I actually think this album is like Beautiful Soul is the one everyone remembers him for, but I think this one has some classics. Some great tracks. Right Back in the Water, Just So You Know, Tell Her. He was a crush of mine for a little while there when I was a teenager. The Joe Trainer Trio, Drive. I cannot tell you who these guys are, but it's in my parents' collection. So shout out. You should check it out. All right, we got some John Barry. A lot of, it's so interesting how I feel like so many film composers' names start with J. It's kind of funny to me. We got a lot of Jameses and we got a lot of Johns. So Out of Africa, this is a film my parents love. The soundtrack isn't that good. I think it's not that, I don't know, it's not as memorable. But another film I haven't seen in a long time. But John Barry, I think a stronger soundtrack of his is Dances with Wolves. This is a stronger film and just, again, a stronger soundtrack. Lots of songs on it. Some of them are like 10 minutes long too. The love theme, very iconic. It's been stuck in my head for a while now. I've been listening to it a bit. The Red Violin. This is a soundtrack by John Corigliano. Never seen this film. It's in my parents' collection. Let me know if anyone's seen it and it's good. I haven't listened to this at all. John Denver, Greatest Hits. My mom's been playing this a lot while she paints lately. So this is obviously from her collection. He's great. West Virginia, Country Roads, Take Me Home, wherever that song is. Take Me Home, Country Roads. Yeah, that song's the only one I'm really familiar with. CD's not even in there. It's probably in the CD player. Shows how much he loves it. We've got some more piano stuff. This is just some nice schmaltzy new age piano by Bjrk. Not the regular Bjrk, different Bjrk. I know, it's kind of funny. It's got like, you know, some of the titles seem like really Jesus-y, but you know, you take that out of it, it's like some really beautiful melodies. Remembering Grandma's really actually beautiful. I kind of tear up at that one a little bit. And then again, we got the more Johns, okay? We got some more Johns. We got John Williams, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Gotta have this soundtrack. Gotta have this soundtrack. I mean, it's the best of the best. Hedwig's theme, you know, the scene where they arrive at Hogwarts, leaving Hogwarts. I mean, it's got to be in the collection, okay? John Williams really did his thing. And then we have some more John Williams. This is The Prisoner of Azkaban. Now, we did have Harry Potter. We did have Chamber of Secrets, but we only had the case for it, and I didn't have any CD version of it, so we threw out the case because it was kind of taking up space. So I did at one point have a Chamber of Secrets when I was a kid, but you know, that was 20 years ago. I don't remember it. I don't know what happened to it, but we did also get Prisoner of Azkaban, which is also phenomenal. This was John Williams' final time doing composition for for Harry Potter, which, you know, would have been nice if he had kept going, but there we go. Again, can tell what's well used. Moving on, we have Joni Mitchell, Ladies of the Canyon. This is from 1970. There's like a little duck sticker on here. Remember, I get all these secondhand, so sometimes they come with weird stickers on them. This one has Woodstock, which is actually a Crosby, Stills and Nash cover. I think they both wrote it around the same time. It's really good. It also has Big Yellow Taxi, which is her most well-known song, and The Circle Game. I mean, it's just, you can see where Lana Del Rey gets her inspiration from, you know. Lana covers For Free on her Chemtrails album, but this song originally is just so fucking good. So freaking good. And then, of course, we have to have Blue. So out of my two Joni albums I've got here, which of course has River and Blue and A Case of You. Very famous songs. I mean, we're talking out like top tier songwriting in the 20th century. Like, look no further than this record. You gotta have it. But I wish I had more Joni. At one point, maybe at some point I will. And then finishing out the J's, we have Jordan Sparks. Yeah, again, lots of weird stickers on this one. I tried to peel them off, but you know how it is. It's hard to get them all off. This album is super iconic. She won American Idol. I don't think she won. I think she came in second place in 2007, and she put out an album that year at the end of the year. And obviously we all know No Air featuring Chris Brown. Freeze, shout out to Freeze. I listened to this song nonstop at the end of 9th grade, and like, it's just forever going to be like that time of my life. Like this album is just like so nostalgic for me, in early high school. And like, she did her thing. She did her thing, all right? Jordan has still been making music, but not as prolific as, you know, she was in the late 2000s. But great, like, pop R&B, but like, you know, just fun stuff. Now we're in the K's. We have Kate Bush, Hounds of Love. Had to get this. This is actually the deluxe edition, so it comes with 6 bonus tracks. 2 of them are like extended remixes of Running Up That Hill and The Big Sky. But what an album. What an album. Like, can I say any more? I mean, I'm going to be, you know, a bit redundant. It comes with like this EMI booklet. I think this version was released in 97, even though this album is from 85. So EMI Records kind of put together a special edition of it. Katy Perry, Teenage Dream. It's the only Katy Perry I have. I'm kind of interested in maybe getting Prism at some point, if I had to get another one. But what gay boy doesn't have this, you know? You got a CD collection, you know? This is kind of funny. This is the Ocarina of Time soundtrack. I think my dad like purchased this MP3 on like some file, like somewhere online, and then he burned it to a CD because it's like CD quality, and we put this together. I don't know if it's really CD quality, like if it's really high res lossless audio or not, but it sounds like it is. But it's kind of cool to say that I have the soundtrack to one of the best Nintendo video games ever. Super nostalgic, obviously, for my childhood. So, you know, it's just kind of fun that we have this. But Koji Kondo is the composer. There she is, my Estonian princess, Curly, her debut record, Love is Dead. Have to have. If there's like one CD, I was like, I have to have this. Another beautiful disc, really beautiful disc. And then we have her most recent record and her only other full-length album, Shadowworks. This was not cheap either. Yeah, we've got her 2019 album, Shadowworks. This one does come with a nice booklet, which is pretty cool. So, I mean, you know. It's good to have. Always want to support her. Hopefully she comes out with a new record sometime soon. Here we have the Kylie Minogue Definitive Collection. So this was released in 2019. It's a 2-disc set, and it has like basically all of her big hits. This is the only Kylie I have, and I figured might as well get the greatest hits. I'd like to do this for other artists that I would love to have their whole discography, but it's just not in the budget. So this has, you know, Can't Get You Out of Your Head, On a Night Like This, one of my favorites of hers, obviously. Wow, which is an underrated bop. The Locomotion, Breathe, Step Back in Time. So it's important to have part of the collection. There we go. Kyrie. This is classical cathedral music. Probably listened to this again in the car as a kid. Don't remember it, but there you go. Lady Gaga, The Fame. This is actually The Fame and The Fame Monster. So it's 2 in 1, which I was happy to get because I wanted both. There's 2 discs in there. It's probably gonna fall apart if I try and take it apart, but the cover, you know, you can change and alternate. Another classic that I have to have, of course. And then we have Born This Way, the extended edition, of course. One of my favorite Lady Gaga records. It's another 2-discer. Art Pop. Kind of nice foil case there. And the disc is upside down. Hold on one sec. Right that right side up. Obviously, secondhand. It's got some writing on it. But yeah. Iconic. That's and then I have Chromatica. So I've got all our pop stuff, I'll confess. Well, you will see another Tony Bennett and Gaga record coming up, but I do not have Joanne. I am sorry. Joanne is my least favorite record of hers. It's still not bad. It's not bad. I'm going to be honest, I'm not the hugest fan of Chromatica either. But I did get it. Ladysmith, Black Mambazo. I have no idea where this comes from, but I think it's kind of like African New Age kind of rhythmic stuff. So probably on my alley. But my parents obviously picked this up at some point. Lana Del Rey, Born to Die. I wanted to get the deluxe edition, but I couldn't justify the money, especially with Paradise attached to it. So it's just a regular standard. Falling Apart. Again, I go for the I go for more just the CD. The case is important, but, you know, to do get bargains, you have to get them sometimes in bad quality. This one's in better quality. Honeymoon, underrated Lana Del Rey record. Yes, I don't have Ultraviolence. I know. Maybe at some point I'll get it. But for now, I'm perfectly happy with just having the ones that I have. Beautiful photography for this record. Such a vibe. And of course, NFR, Norman F. and Rockwell. Gotta have it. One of her greatest. Cathedral Classics. This is the Liverpool Orchestra. So, you know, some familiar church carols and canons here. Pachelbel, you know, all that good stuff. My dad would be playing this all the time. Lorena McKennitt, The Book of Secrets. Really, really spiritual record. I would love to review this at some point, but love it. The Mummer's Dance, and Dante's Prayer are my favorites. This record is just so haunting, and it's such, you know, we would play it at dinner. It's a magical record, as is all of Lorena's work. And 20 years later, she comes out with another one. She's got another album in between there. I don't have it. It's Lost Souls. This is her most recent record. Came out in 2018. The Ballad of the Fox Hunter is my favorite song on here, along with Sun, Moon, and Stars, which is an instrumental. And this one is really nice. Again, it's got kind of like this book format, images. So, really beautiful. Love her. All right, this is a big category. We got the M's here. Madonna. We've got the Immaculate Collection. Obviously, a must-have. It's the only collection I have of any of her 80s material. Obviously, I would love, if I had to pick an 80s album of hers to own, it would be Like a Prayer. The version that we have on here of Like a Prayer and Express Yourself are like these remix versions, which I'm not crazy about. But it has Vogue, it has all the hits, Holiday, Like a Virgin, True Blue. But I have a lot of Madonna records. I've got Bedtime Stories and Erotica. Erotica came first. This one's very, very old. You can tell by the quality of the paper. Bedtime Stories. Classic. Ray of Light. Her best record. What else can I say? This is really damaged. I bought it really secondhand. Transcendent. We've got Music. Not as good, but, you know, it is what it is. Kind of cheesy, but still better than what she's doing now, usually. American Life. This is one of them that I only have the disc of, so I made my own case. So it's just the disc, and then I printed out like the track list and everything. Much better than Music. Love this one. Confessions, her best modern era album, if you want to call it modern era, from 2005. And then I do have Hard Candy, which I was kind of unsure about whether this was worth purchasing. Maybe it's just more the nostalgia, but I don't know. There's something about this record that's like infectious to me. There's a lot of great songs on here, in my opinion. I don't understand why people consider this really her worst album or one of her worst. I mean, I can understand it's not one of her best. Certainly far from. But, you know, Miles Away in its own is, and Devil Wouldn't Recognize You, and Beat Goes On. Some grooves. And then we jump ahead in here and we have Madame X. This is the last Madonna record that I have. Definitely her best of the last 10 years, but that's not saying much. I do love Madonna, but, you know, these albums, they don't age well. They just really don't. Like, none of her albums since Confessions have really aged that well. I find myself not really, I listen to them a lot when they come out, and then I don't listen to them anymore, ever again. So I really hyped this one out when it came out, but like now I'm sort of like, I don't know if this one is as good as I thought it was. But it's definitely an improvement over Rebel Heart or MDNA. Those are albums you will not see in my collection. Good Lord. I mean, I love some of the songs on them, but they're not worth spending money on. All right, Mark Knopfler, Sailing to Philadelphia. Don't know who he is. I'm presuming this is classic rock, something my mom got. The Manhattan Transfer. Some classic 80s stuff here. 80s and 90s. Yes. Showing my parents' eclectic taste here. They're great, though. Marina and the Diamonds, Fruit. Had to get this one. Absolutely love this record. So good. My favorites being I'm a Ruin, Gold, Solitaire, Weeds, Savages, so many. Memphis Boys, The Story of American Studios. The soundtrack to Robert Jones' book. If anyone knows what this is, let me know, because I sure don't. MIA. I don't have Arular, but I do have Kala. Had to get it. I'm a big MIA fan. I also have Matangi. So these are the two MIA records that I have. Michel Corbeau's Fares Requiem. Again, more classical music. Michael Jackson's Thriller. What person's CD collection does not have this album? I basically, this is ubiquitous. I think it's like Fleetwood Mac's Rumors and Michael Jackson's Thriller are like the two albums that I see in every single person's collection, vinyl or otherwise. I mean, it's just, there's a reason. They're best-selling albums of all time. Miley Cyrus, Breakout. Another one where I only have the disc. I actually have a DVD of live performances with it as well, but I had to make up my own little case for it. But this is one of my favorite Miley records. So nostalgic. Again, I really love, obviously Seven Things is now kind of popular again, but These Four Walls, I know it's a cover, but These Four Walls, The Driveway, Bottom of the Ocean, so many classics. Morbin Tabernacle Choir, Around the World, A Musical Journey. Self-explanatory. You're getting the gist here. 25 Mozart favorites. So this is just a bunch of Mozart. Good for your baby. And Mystic Warriors, Beyond Reality. I think this is one of those CDs that my parents picked up like when we were on like a trip and they were like selling CDs and my parents just felt bad because they were like, well, this juggler on the side of the road, let's support him. Let's buy one of his CDs. So I don't know. Moving on, Natasha Bedingfield, Pocket Full of Sunshine. Again, had to substitute a case because I only ordered the CD. These were like in a pack of CDs that didn't have cases. That's why I have a bunch of these. I got them really cheap. Pocket Full of Sunshine, though, we don't talk about it enough. But of course, that song, got really big. Soulmates on this one. So wonderful. Nelly Furtado's Loose, another one I only have the CD for, so I made a case. Say It Right, Promiscuous, No Hay Igual, All Good Things Come to an End. Perfection. Really miss her. I wish she would make more music. Sphere Indestructible, Nelly Furtado's 2012 album that was marketed horribly, flopped terribly, but didn't deserve it. Really bad quality I've got here. This like really secondhand, as you can tell. But I don't care. It's about having the disc, at the end of the day. Great record. Very much in the spirit of Loose. One of the only hip hop albums I own is Nicki Minaj's The Pink Print, which, is a little out left field for me, but I mean, I will always respect Nicki, and I think that this album is one of her best. I think it's the most emotional. It's the most hard on her sleeve, some of her best writing. But it's also really fun. Yeah, it has Anaconda. Never thought I would actually own Anaconda on CD, but here we are. Here we are. It's falling apart. There you go. Night Noise, At the End of the Evening. Any Night Noise fans out there? They are I think they're Irish, new age group. They are super emotive, melancholic, kind of a new age kind of instrumental music. This is super nostalgic for me. My mom played this all the time when I was little. This is from the 80s. This is from Windham Hill's collection of artists. Windham Hill used to kind of be a record label that put together all these compilations and stuff. You'll see more of that coming up when I get to the compilations. Norah Jones, Not Too Late. This is the only Norah Jones record that we have. My mom bought this. Not my favorite Norah record, but certainly got some great tracks. I love the title track. And I also love Not My Friend. Of Monsters and Men, Beneath the Skin. I do not have My Head as an Animal. That is definitely on my list to acquire at some point, their debut record, but I prefer this album even more. If you've seen my review, absolutely in love with this record. Each song has its own symbol. Empire is my favorite. Eye of the Storm. Such a good record. Such a good record. Choral Adagios. I don't know why I have this in the O's. I guess, I don't know. Maybe this is just kind of random. Oh, I guess it's the Oxford Choir or something. I don't know. I don't know why this is in the O's, but it is. It's just more great choir music. There's some really, really great renditions like Panis Angelicus and some Rudder that's just really great in there. Orpheus Chamber Orchestra. Again, more classical. Oleg Yellow. My dad got really into him. These are just like really, I think these are the choral stuff. So it's a lot of choral stuff. Very descriptive. But it's beautiful. It's very crepuscular, kind of evening, northern lights, as it says, music. And then we have Voices, Piano, and Strings. More Harry Potter soundtrack. This time, this is The Goblet of Fire by Patrick Doyle. One of the best Harry Potter soundtracks. The film is I still think it's great. Some people think it's the worst of the Harry Potter film franchise. I disagree. But this has one of the best soundtracks. It's really different from John Williams. It's even more symphonic. It's like even more emotive, and it's different, but it's good. It's got like a unique kind of blend of old and new for a Harry Potter soundtrack. Paul Schwartz, New Horizon, Aria 2. Paul Schwartz put out a bunch of these opera meets electronic music production things, and they are so phenomenal. This one is obviously very nostalgic for me. Very well played. Super transcendent and esoteric in a way. Very haunting. Very much recommend if you're into, classical opera mixed with elegant kind of electronic symphonic production. Really, really exquisite production on this. Opera you can dance to, put it that way. Paul Winter and the Earth Band, Journey with the Sun. I think this is another Windham Hill kind of thing. We have Peter Tchaikovsky, The Nutcracker. This is a German production, Dresden in the 80s. But this was always my version of the Nutcracker that I would play when I would dance around to it as a kid, because we had to have some version of the Nutcracker, even though the Balanchine movie is the one I love the most. Pentatonics. My parents are huge Pentatonics fans. I put up with it. What can I say? I mean, this is covers of like, really cheesy mainstream pop songs. It's fine. Philip Aberg, another classical pianist who does like new age kind of stuff. This is his rendition of a lot of classic, 20th century film scores. Very nostalgic for me as a kid, listening to that, like Cinema Paradiso and Cinema Paradiso. Always pronounce that wrong. The Piano Guys. This is more their upbeat kind of stuff. Lots of hits. Greatest hit, like pop hits covered by them. Again, stuff my parents listened to. Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon. What collection doesn't have it? Again, similar to Thriller. You gotta have it. Great record. And then we have the Polish National Symphony Orchestra. I don't know where we get these things, but it's just in our collection. The Art of Renee Fleming. I know her from singing on the Lord of the Rings Return of the King soundtrack, but my parents are a big fan. She's an opera singer. Hey, operas, it's something, it's hit or miss for me. Sometimes it's like a little too one note for me. It's hard for me to pay attention to it. I know that might be upsetting to some people. Robert Shaw, festival singers, evocation of spirit. I don't know, or religious choral music. And then Rosario, she's a Spanish singer. My dad picked this up when he was traveling in like France or Spain once when I was in middle school. And then we started listening to this, and it's got some great songs like Rumba del Bongo and A Flor de Piel. Mientras me quede corazón, love that one. A lot of bops, a lot of Latin bops on this one. Whew, we're getting there. I know, it's a lot. Sarah Bareilles, The Blessed Unrest. My parents have gone really into Sarah, but I've always been such a huge fan of hers. So had to get this one. I would love to get more Sarah, but this is her 2013 record. Satellite Call, 1,000 Times, Manhattan, obviously Brave, Islands. So many classics on this one. Such a great record. I'm trying to go through these quickly. Sarah McLachlan, Fumbling Towards Ecstasy. Another one, only have the disc of, but had to get it. Not as much of my favorite of hers, but it was part of the deal, and I was like, I would love to get this. But this is obviously the quintessential record of hers, Surfacing. So many iconic tracks. Sweet Surrender, Angel, Building a Mystery, Black and White. Sadie, Piano Works, so some classical piano. Selena Gomez, Revival, very different from classical piano, obviously. This is the bonus version. My favorite Selena Gomez record. September, In Orbit. This is actually a Polish, limited edition, extended edition was released in Poland a few years after it was released in Sweden. So it has a DVD attached to it. It has both versions of Cry For You. It has the single version, which I prefer, and then the original album version of single edits up there, which was good because I wanted the full album version. I have trouble opening this. It's one of those ones you have to press. But Swedish singer, great Swedish dance pop. What else can I say? I highly recommend. Shakira, Fijación Oral. Lost a la Intuición was my favorite of this one, as well as Antus Pupilas, and Dia de Enero, La Tortura. There's so many great songs on here. Dia Especial. Great record. Much prefer this to Volume 2. Volume 2 is a little more pop, but this one's got like a little bit more just guitar-focused stuff, but really good. Shelby Lynn, Just a Little Lovin'. My parents picked this up. It's a little different. I don't know what my parents, I think it's country. Never listened to it. I gotta check it out. Straight No Chaser with a Twist. Again, one of my parents' collection. Susan Boyle, I Dreamed a Dream. Very well popular. This was a very popular selling album. This was her debut. Wild Horses. This is the official Wild Horses, in my opinion. Sorry, Rolling Stones, but she sings it way better. So many classics that she covers. Oops, falling apart. And then I also have Someone to Watch Over Me, which is, I think, her third album. And again, these are all covers. She's a Scottish Britain's Got Talent winner. Really beautiful voice. The Best of Sting, Fields of Gold, 1984 to 1994. This has all his greatest hits, like Fields of Gold, All This Time, Fragile, Why Should I Cry For You, Be Still My Beating Heart. Obviously, Fields of Gold is my favorite Sting song. And then the Swell Season. This is a group from Ireland. And if you've seen the movie once, or the movie musical, it's the two singers from that film. They put out an album in 2009 called Strict Joy. Really beautiful folk music, kind of like folk alternative. I don't love all of it, but there's a couple songs I really like In These Arms and The Rain, Fantasy Man. Taylor Swift, Speak Now. Boy, it's a shame that these re-recordings are coming out because now I'm going to think these are obsolete. But you know what? If you still own the originals, you're not giving Scooter any money. You already paid for it. It's the streaming we don't want to do anymore. Because, and you'll see with my next one that already has Taylor's version out. This one's probably going to come out this year. It's one of my favorite Taylor records. Obviously, that's why I have it. But then I do have, yes, the Scooter Braun version of Red, or, the Big Machine one. But look, again, like I said, it doesn't hurt that I also can stream the proper one, the Taylor's version one. That just came out last year, but this is the 2012 version. Like I said, you're not giving Scooter any money by just putting this in your CD player, and that's the important thing. But one of Taylor's self-owned albums, Folklore, had to pick this up. One of my favorites of hers. If you've watched my review or anything I've said about Taylor, a beautiful record. Obviously love the album art, everything about it. Favorite song is definitely Furball and August and 7. Those are like the trifecta for me, but there are so many great songs on here. Telephone Bill and the Smooth Operators. This is one of those things when my parents put it on in the car, I am like, please get me out of here. This is definitely not my kind of music. Just like, kind of screwball, boomer stuff. Remember when I was talking about the Green Children? They rebranded to TGC. This is their newest album, Parallels, which I have reviewed. So I have now this version, which I love. Sophie is divine track. One of my favorite songs of 2021. And again, also comes with their signature, which is really nice. They're very independent. I mean, they sell literally from their own place. Like, it's like they deserve so much more. Tim Janis, 18. A beautiful Irish folk album. Really great vocals by the female vocalist and some wonderful flute work. This is so transportative. We would listen to this a lot of the time while we were eating dinner as a family growing up. So magical. And then I did say I did have some more Lady Gaga. I have Love for Sale, their newest Tony Bennett and Lady Gaga collab, and Tony Bennett's final record. So I have the bonus track version. I got this for my mom for Christmas. It's great. I don't usually love jazz, but, Lady Gaga can do no wrong with that. So I had to get that. All right, and then wrapping up the single artist albums with the V's, we have Vanessa Hudgens, V. This is one of the first albums along with the Hannah Montana soundtrack of pop that I ever received. I mean, it was just, can it get better than this? Like, you don't get more middle school pop than this record. And I'm sorry, Olivia Rodrigo can't top this.
That's a bold statement.
I'm really sorry. I know that's a very controversial statement. I know they're very different artists, but like, if you want, I know that's a very basic take. What can I say? I mean, I'm too old for Olivia Rodrigo. This was more my time. This is from the Vasari Singers, 20th Century Choral Music. Again, we've got so much of this. Vivaldi. This one I remember more than the Mozart one. We played this all the time in the car. And then Yo-Yo Ma plays Ennio Morricone. So Yo-Yo Ma is a wonderful cellist. I think he's a cellist. He does these beautiful renditions of great Ennio Morricone songs, including The Mission. We got that at the top here, as well as Once Upon a Time in the West. So many classics. The Untouchables, Casualties of War, Cinema Paradiso, A Pure Formality. It's beautiful, very nostalgic for car rides as a kid. I would always fall asleep to it, but so evocative and so beautiful. And that wraps up all of our non-Christmas single artist albums. Now we're going to move to the compilations. So I'm going to try and go through these pretty quick because this video is getting really, really long. But I've tried to put these in a alphabetical order. So the first compilation we have is American Idol Greatest Moments. This is from the first season of American Idol. So I believe it has Kelly Clarkson. Yeah, it's got a bunch of Kelly on there. Don't really recognize any other names, but we got this when I was a kid. The soundtrack to August Rush. So this has got various artists incorporated. Mark Mancina is the orchestrator, but the composer. But there's songs by some of the cast members. I remember watching this movie, but I don't really remember very much of the music. So my mom obviously loved it, so she bought this. We got some Bach by a bunch of different artists doing their version of Bach. Same with the greatest hits of Beethoven. You know, what can you do? We've got two Broadway albums. They've got a lot of the same stuff. This one's newer. But they, you know, for all the Broadway fans out there, it's got everything you could possibly want. I'm not a huge Broadway person, but, you know, we got to have it. Some Brahms. A classic romance. This is an Excelsior Collection CD. There's more, you know, more classical. A lot of this is going to be classical. Classic romance, Mozart, Bach, Tchaikovsky. Classics from the movies. A lot of these are movies I don't recognize, to be honest with you, besides like Schindler's List and a few others. But, you know, great score stuff in there. Okay, Cold Mountain, another great soundtrack for my childhood, produced by T-Bone Burnett. It has Alison Krauss, Jack White. This is a phenomenal soundtrack. It's kind of folk country music, but then obviously Gabriel Yared has the score stuff at the end. Ada Plays, my favorite score song on this, and then The Scarlet Tide, sung by Alison Krauss, which plays in the end credits of this wonderful film. I finally saw it in 2020. It took me way too long to see it because we got the soundtrack back when I was in elementary school. But it is a phenomenal film with a phenomenal soundtrack. Jude Law, Nicole Kidman, Civil War drama. Some of the songs are like really hard hitting too. Like the lyrics, it's like, yikes, it's pretty hardcore. A Windham Hill collection. This is their first Windham Hill, Conversations with God. This has a ton, this is from 1997, a ton of different artists on here. You'll recognize Yanni, his song, One Man's Dream. Shadowfax, another new age group I love. David Arkenstone, George Winston's in there. Just very esoteric stuff. Really beautiful, kind of mystical. There's a lot of kind of Buddhist and Eastern instrumental stuff on here as well. So it's very meditative, but like, you know, it's kind of secular. It's not super Jesus-y, which I appreciate. It's very new age. Disney's Greatest Hits, Volume 1. Had to get this. This came out in 2001, and it features a song from all of their main films, starting with Tarzan and going all the way back to When You Wish Upon a Star from Pinocchio. I want to get Volume 2. There's actually 3 volumes that came out in 2001. But yeah, I mean, I had to have some Disney music because I'm such a Disney fan. Free Willy, another soundtrack. This is Michael Jackson's soundtrack. Will You Be There? Iconic. And I love the remix of Human Nature by S7, I believe. SWV, Sides, Sisters with Voices. Classic film, classic soundtrack. The Goat Rodeo Sessions, Yo-Yo Ma, Stuart Duncan, Edgar Meyer, and Chris Thile. I'm sure it's good. Haven't listened to it. Grammy nominees 2003. This is actually the first CD that I ever got that's pop, but I don't really count it because I wasn't really listening to it back then. I got it back in elementary school and I just wasn't really into, like, I didn't know who any of these artists were. I didn't even know who Avril Lavigne was back then. Like, isn't that so sad? But this has, you know, 1,000 Miles by Vanessa Carlton, Don't Know Why by Norah Jones, which actually won Song of the Year that year. It has Complicated. It has Eminem's Without Me, Your Body is a Wonderland by John Mayer, Soak Up the Sun, Sheryl Crow, Overprotected by Britney Spears. So it's got, you know, it's got some pop hits that, you know, I definitely am a fan of. Ashanti, NSYNC, stuff that was popular in 2001, 2002. Great choral music. Again, more stuff like that. High School Musical. You knew it was coming. You knew it was coming. This was another first CD of mine I got in 2006. I have the karaoke version as well. I worshipped this when I was 13. Worshipped it. It's funny, now I listen to it and I'm like, it's really cheesy, but you know, everyone has said their pop awakening somehow. Honor Them All, Mothers Against Drunk Driving. This is a Windham Hill collection, but this is actually pop stuff. So it's got some Carly Simon, Lori Morgan. It's got some Yanni. It has In the Morning Light, which is one of his most famous songs. And some Jim Brickman, who's another pianist I love. But yeah, I mean, we played this in the car. My parents were big into Windham Hill. Any Windham Hill fans out there, shout out in the comments. This is the only Disney animated film soundtrack I own, The Hunchback of Notre Dame. I would love to get more, but I think Hunchback has some of the best music. Excuse me. And it is one of my favorite animated films. I watched it a ton growing up, and it's just stood the test of time. It's a really great classic Disney film. Late Night Latte, Java Jazz. Very nostalgic late night dinner music. We'd have this on all the time. Very sleepy, but it's great. Late Night Piano, similar kind of deal. Mamma Mia, Gotta Have It. Gotta Have It from the 2008 film. Excellent movie. Just the right level of cheese. Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. I recently saw this movie for the first time as well, but we've had the soundtrack for years. Again, Skylark by Katie Lang. Soundtrack to my dinners growing up. Skylark, have you ever had a song to sing? It's so iconic. There's also some Alison Krauss on here as well. And Tony Bennett. Tony Bennett has a song on here. Music for Great Cathedrals. Monty Python Spamalot. This is out of alphabetical order, but oh, this is so cheesy. My parents played this in the car and I was grimacing, but you know, it's fun if you're familiar with Spamalot, the comedy musical. Music to Spy To. We picked this up at the International Spy Museum in Washington, D.C., which I think is so freaking funny. Back in the early 2000s. And it has like the James Bond theme, the Pink Panther theme, Mission Impossible. I mean, you know, it's The Man from U.N.C.L.E. Like it's cheesy, but like it's what you'd expect to see sold there. But again, my parents back then would just like buy like lots of random stuff, which I thought was kind of cool. Narada Guitar, another Windham Hill. This is guitar music, new age, really good guitar music. I mean, this is a 2 CD set and some really exquisite stuff on here. This is all from the 80s and 90s. Really good. Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? This actually won, I think, Album of the Year in the Grammys, which I was really surprised. It's really good. It's another T-Bone Burnett. It's got more Alison Krauss. It's got some Ian Welch. It's got some Emmylou Harris. This film's pretty good. It's okay, but obviously it's a classic that everyone loves. So this was a group I was talking about, again, from Ireland with the Swell Season. This is Once, the 2007 Irish movie musical. We had to get the soundtrack, and Falling Slowly, you've probably heard before. It's a beautiful song. Lots of beautiful, great songs on here. It's like rock, folk, alternative. Super good. Really into it. Piano Moods, another Excelsior. This has my favorite version of Claire de Lune, I think, that we have on classical CD, because that song is just, it's absolutely chef's kiss. Playing for Change, Songs Around the World. I mean, these are probably like artists that I don't know singing songs that are really popular for a charity. A Prairie Home Companion, the 2006 Meryl Streep, Lily Tomlin, Garrison Keillor movie. This will transport me back to road trips when I was in middle school. We listened to this so much. It even has Lindsay Lohan. It's kind of funny because in her song, she had a curse word in it. I remember the parents weren't thrilled about that when I was a kid, but I thought it was really cool that Lindsay was in this. And Woody Harrelson and John C. Reilly and Geraldine Steele. I mean, it's great. It's comedy. It's fun stuff. Lily Tomlin and Meryl Streep singing together, like Americana folk music. It's really fun. It's really fun. If you haven't seen the movie, I highly recommend. I know Garrison Keillor is like, there's some iffy stuff with him, I know. But Prairie Home Companion is like a public radio program that if you haven't heard of, that's really popular that my parents listen to like on Saturday nights religiously. The Renaissance album. This is another Windham Hill collection. This is from 1998, and it is a collection of sort of medieval sounding music. It's very new age. My favorite is Lisa Lynn, who does actually some harp stuff for Gary Stadler on the Fairy albums. She does a song called How Sweet This Torment on here, which I really love. George Winston's on here, David Arkenstone, a bunch of great songs, a bunch of great groups on here. Just very, very whimsical, very nostalgic for me. Rent. I'm not really a big Rent fan. It's a little much for me, but you know, my parents loved it once they saw the movie, so we had to get the soundtrack. A Windham Hill sampler from 1992. So we've got some Windham Hill classics on here, mostly from the 80s and early 90s. Some Liz Stories on here. Some Night Noise. And then we have Sanctuary, which was celebrating 20 years of Windham Hill. This came out in 1996. And this has a lot more stuff I'm really into. It has Wedding Rain by Liz Story. Love that song. Rocket to the Moon by Jim Brickman. Just like really emotional, like innocent, whimsical piano melodies that like evoke such an emotional response in me, especially since I heard them as I was like a kid all throughout my childhood and just like reminds me of my childhood forever. Summer Smoothies. This is just like a big collection of stuff. I don't even know who it's by. Music for a lazy summer morning, summer afternoon. It's just like schmaltzy piano stuff. Okay, so it's like a bunch of different guys. I don't know. Kind of interesting. Slumdog Millionaire. I know this is out of alphabetical order. I got to get these in the right order, but this is a great movie. My parents got the soundtrack. It has MIA's Paper Planes on it. Kind of hyper pop Bollywood stuff, but it's kind of fun. Suzuki Piano School, Volume 1 and 2. Shout out to anyone who learned piano in Suzuki, the Suzuki method, because anyone who took certain piano lessons probably is familiar with these. Any aspiring piano player as a kid probably had to listen to this a lot. So that's why we have it. Tick, Tick, Boom, the latest Netflix movie musical. I have not watched it, please forgive me, but my parents did, and they fell in love with it, so they bought the soundtrack. And it's already falling apart. They just bought this. Jesus. What does my mom do to these things? Timeless, The Great Romantic Standards. This has some Katie Lang, Linda Ronstadt, Willie Nelson, Bette Midler, some Celine Dion. That's a song from Sleepless in Seattle, I think, When I Fall in Love. Cyndi Lauper, Love You on Rose, Simon, My Funny Valentine, Unforgettable, Aretha Franklin, Diana Ross. Just some great classic romance songs. Doesn't have I Will Always Love You, but I think it came out before that. I'm not sure. Another Windham Hill guitar compilation. This one's called Touch. And then this is a piano compilation called Windows. This one has a lot of songs. Again, it has Rocket to the Moon, If You Believe, Jim Brickman, In Wedding Rain by Liz Story. So many great songs. Children's song is on here. Oistin Savig. So beautiful. Oh, it makes me cry. So good. And then we have some World Cafe stuff. I don't know what this is, but my parents bought it years ago. It's just a collection of folky kind of country singers. World Cafe used to be like this record label that put out. There's another one we have. One of these is from the 90s. The other's from the early 2000s. I think I prefer this one. This one has more songs that I'm a fan of. This has The Captain, right? The Captain by The Captain by Casey Chambers. Yeah, that's a famous song. Yeah. And then I also forgot to show Under the V's Votus 8. This is a a cappella singing group my parents are a big fan of. These got like tons of covers, you know, May It Be, The Reigns of Castamere from Game of Thrones, Danny Boy, Caledonia, Carrickfergus. It's just great classic, you know, kind of new age ballads. And then Infinity. This one hasn't even been opened. That's by them as well. All right. All right, we're almost done. But last, but certainly not least, we have our Christmas collection. Okay. Boy, and these are in no alphabetical order, but I'm going to go through these pretty quickly. First up, my favorite Christmas CD of all time, Celine Dion, These Are the Special Times. From 1998, some of the best renditions of Christmas carols, you know, Oh Holy Night, Ave Maria, Happy Christmas, War is Over, The Prayer with Andrea Bocelli. So it's not really a Christmas song. I think of that as like all year round. I mean, again, need I say any more? And then, you know, I'm just going to go through these really quick if you're interested. I don't have a lot to say about some of these. But like these are all kind of like, you know, things that we've listened to at Christmas all the time, every year. We put them on. This is the John Denver Christmas album, Rocky Mountain Christmas. Trans-Siberian Orchestra, Christmas Eve and Other Stories. Got some great stuff on here. And then this is their 1998 album, The Christmas Attic. This is the one that has Christmas Carol, which is my favorite. Or is it Christmas Canon? Can't remember what it's called. Christmas Canon, Christmas Carol. Mormon Tabernacle Choir, Christmas with George Winston, December. Another classic George Winston album. This is the 20th anniversary edition. This one's the one that originally had Joy, which is one of my favorite George Winston piano songs. Super emotional, nostalgic. Windham Hill Christmas, The Night Before Christmas. This is from 2005. Winter Songs by Oleg Yellow. I think these are a piano and instrumental, like a symphonic and stuff. Tim Janis, Christmas. Super schmaltzy, but like beautiful flute and orchestral stuff, like new age orchestral renditions of some of these songs. When I play it, it just makes me think of my childhood Christmases. There's Enya's And Winter Came. Yeah, like I said, we put her with her holiday stuff, even though some of these songs aren't really like just Christmas, but you know, it's some of these songs are cheesy as anything, but it's got some gems. Christmas Masterpiece Series, Time of Joy. All right, so I mentioned I have another First Presbyterian Church. My local church put out a 1997 Christmas album. My mom is singing in this one as part of the choir, the chancel choir, and the chancel ringers, the handbell ringers. We would play this all the time when I was in the car as a kid, and I loved singing along to Go Tell It on the Mountain. As a 4-year-old, I would like belt it out of the top of my lungs. And we would look at Christmas lights, and we would be just listening to this on repeat. So it's so nostalgic for me, these songs. And these are all like classic, you know, some of these are beautiful Christmas devotional hymns. The first half is Christmas, the second half is just traditional all year round Christian hymns. Festival of Carols and Brass by the Philadelphia Brass Ensemble. Mannheim Steamrollers Christmas album. Christmas favorites. This is like a 4 CD set. Missing a CD, clearly. Don't know who it's by. Performed by 101 Strings Orchestra. Okay. Winter Solstice, a Windham Hill Artists album. This was from back in the 1990, I think. So again, so nostalgic for childhood. Some really beautiful. We've got A Night Noise, Snow is Lightly Falling. Lulé Luli by Barbara Higbee, just like this beautiful harp-laden choral moment. Really great. The Piano Guys, Christmas Together, one of our more recent recently released Christmas CDs that we have. Pentatonics, We Need a Little Christmas. Super cringe. I absolutely can't stand this, especially considering it's like, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and stuff. Like, I much prefer, the like Christian Christmas music compared to like the secular stuff. And it's fun, but like, especially by Pentatonics, I'm like, not a big fan. I got this for free. St. Jude's Children's Choir sing Christmas favorites. Another freebie, like the Dave Keller one, just came in the mail. Came with a CD. I didn't ask for it, but hey, it's more Christmas music. And then finally we have, I think this is from 2002, A Windham Hill Christmas. So again, some more George Winston and Liz Story and all them. Great stuff. And with that, that is all. Okay, so I know this was quite a long video, but that is all of my records. I should count how many there are, but it's definitely over 100, as you can see. And so my collection is going to continue to expand. I definitely want to get more records, though I might not purchase as many going forward. I kind of went crazy during the pandemic. And so my collection is going to continue to expand, but I don't know if I'm going to necessarily update this video for a while, but I just really wanted to put this out. Let me know if you enjoyed it in the comments, if there were any records that you were like excited to see, or if this inspires you to continue to build your CD or vinyl collection, because I just find watching these kinds of videos really entertaining. This was part of the reason why I made it. It's just I was watching a lot of CD collection and vinyl collection videos online, and I was like, I want to make one of my own. Physical media is important. In the day of streaming, when, the album as a media and as an art form is somewhat dying in that regard, it's important to support albums and to support physical media in the arts. And that goes for movies and books as well. So, and art in general. So I'm really trying to, I'm trying to be economical about it. There's lots more I would love to have, but So thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful, blessed day. Thank you. Give this a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you are new here, and I will see you all in my next video. Peace, love, and light. Bye.